making it work. That's what happens. Now, unfortunately, there's that other guy. There's that other guy who gets something, and actually, he's kind of like, well, he's apathetic. Some people would say, well, maybe he's lazy. He's clearly fearful. He's afraid, I don't know, I can't do it. I won't get it right. I won't make a difference. Making all sorts of excuses, got all sorts of issues. I mean, he's got his excuse wrapped up. Actually, his argument on why he didn't do something actually sounded pretty good. I didn't want to screw it up. So I kept what you gave me and made sure I didn't lose it. Here it is back. Here it is back. He says this, he says, Master, I knew you to be a hard man. I was afraid. Man. And I went and hid your talent. I think the number one reason that people don't get involved in advancing the kingdom according to their talents, there's two big ones. One, they don't know what their talent is and they struggle to figure it out. Two, they're afraid to try anything. And so they just sit, spectate, just wait. But in this story, the two that get lauded are the two that are practicing diligence and hard work and what God expects of us. He who, according to his workmanship, has already prepared stuff for us to do. That God expects us to be diligent, hardworking, consistent, careful, dedicated, persistent. It's what he wants of us. Now, this parable starts to get uncomfortable, doesn't it? I don't know about you, but once I finally realized in my reading of Scripture a long time ago that God had already given and stuff that he had given me, he expected me to put to use in the kingdom and figure out ways to put it to use. Well, that was terrifying because I really was afraid I'd mess it all up. I'd goof it all up. I'd get it wrong. And I have made plenty of mistakes and plenty of challenges. That's okay. What God expects is that we are diligent, as careful as we can be, consistent, dedicated, persistent in investing what he has given to each of us to use in advancing his kingdom. There's a third lesson in here about stewardship, about this parable, stewardship, investment, and there's this really tough word. There's the reality of accountability. Accountability. Verse 19 says this, now after a long time, the master of those servants came, look what it says, and settled accounts with them. Now, in this parable, Jesus is master. We are the bondservants. Jesus wrote a parable, shared a parable that gets written down that is to remind us that the day comes when we stand in his presence and he says, what you do with that gift of mercy I gave you? What you do with that teaching gift I gave you? What did you do with that gift of love for children that I gave you? What did you do with your leadership gift? What did you do with your computer skills? What did you do with your peacemaking skills? What did you do with your study skills? What did you do with your servant's heart? That day comes. Now, it's not like the great white throne judgment where he throws us out. It's not that. But there is a day of accountability where we stand in the presence of the master and he will ask that tough question. Now, after a long time, the master comes, settles accounts with us. That is a huge issue. Now, there's two types of accountability in this passage. Two things are held accountable. Two types. And the first one is the idea of, well, what we did with the resources he gave. So, they come back and they say, the one guy says, you gave me 5, here's 5 more, you got 10. There's an accountability of the exact resource that's given. But there's also this accountability of the opportunity given. The bondservant with 1, he didn't lose a thing. Surrendered back to the master everything that was the master's, every bit of the resource. And he's judged because he blew the opportunity. You had the opportunity. We will be held accountable for the gifts and talents he gave us and the opportunities he places in our path. What do we do with them? It's profound and deep, and this was part of his teaching on what it would mean to be a disciple. Part of what makes a huge difference in this broken world around us. Do his bondservants, those indebted to the master, take their talents and make a difference for the kingdom and the world in which they live? It's the teaching of the parable. Now in it, there's 2 outcomes. There's 2 outcomes, and they're really harsh, one is, and the other one's pretty amazing. So the first one is to the 2 that did a good job. They were held accountable, and, they had invested the resources, they used the opportunity, they impacted. And it says this is what it says. I love this. It says, so now enter into the joy of your master. It's a joy moment. We experience this joy reward that the master has with us. Anybody, when you're a little kid, ever make your mommy really happy? Make your daddy really happy, and he was just, he said something to you, it was really positive and really good. Anybody ever did it with, anybody ever had one of those moments where, the coach of your baseball team said, you did a really great job, way to go. Anybody ever said, a lot of times we hold on to those things when we felt their scorn, when we felt their rebuttal, their rebuke, all those things. But some of us have that privilege. There's memories on us of when somebody said, well done, way to go, well done. And we experienced the joy that someone else was taking in the moment. That's the picture. That there's this moment that doesn't become because we are the greatest here. Now, he's been teaching things. You want to be great, become a servant of all. No. He's teaching the joy moment comes when he who you are indebted to smiles, calls you by name and said, well done. Way to go. Nice job. Way to use what I gave you. But what's the other outcome? The other individual has a serious break in his relationship with God. There's this brokenness. There's this displeasure. We get deep in the theology. Do I think all I know this is the relationship is broken. There is this bad moment of standing in his presence. I backed our tractors through the barn door as a kid. I was screwing around on it. I was having fun. Driving in really fast, stopping and then backing it out really fast. And doing that 2 or 3 times. And the barn floor was one of those old barnwood, knobby type buckling things. And I don't know, took a big bounce.